Yo, what is up, people? We are here live with JC Coates and Derek Gumin. Derek, what the fuck is going on right now in the cannabis industry with these vapes, man?
Man, we're just going to jump right into it.
Yeah, man, I want to know. People want to know what's going on.
Well, we're not wasting any time. Here. There's a lot of talk right now in the cannabis community about the safety of vapes, specifically cannabis oil. And, you know, this shouldn't exclude CBD oil because we know that a lot of different CBD vape pens are also using the same cutting agents that we're going to get into in a second here.
Even my grandmother's talking about it. Like, she's calling me. She's like, are you smoking these vapes? Are they killing people? Like, what's going on out there? People are confused. I mean, it's
pretty crazy, honestly. My mom, my dad's talking about it. Everyone's confused about, like, is it the e-cigarettes? Is it cannabis vapes?
Is it black market vapes?
Are they coming from dispensaries? You know, is it the PG? Is it the VG? Is it the fake terps? What's going on, bro?
All right, so let's set the record straight. So for starters, what we're seeing in the news is a result of what they're saying is vitamin E. So vitamin E can be found in a number of different cutting agents or solvents that a number of different companies globally use to cut CBD oil, THC oil, and a number of different things. Even e-juice for vapes, right? So it's specifically the vitamin E that they're looking into regarding the deaths of I think 5, 6, 7 people at this point. It's still single digits, but it's still relevant. It is still significant, right? So That's what started this whole thing. Now, we know that PGs, VGs of vegetable glycol and some of these MCT, coconut oil, essentially, right? Yeah. All these compounds and solvents are used to cut distillate because, I mean, shit, when you make good distillate, it's really, really thick. It's got a really viscous texture to it. So to make it just a little bit less viscous, to make it move smoothly through the vape pens, what they'll do is they'll cut it. Now, when you cut these things, it should be healthy, safe, right? We all expect our cannabis products to be safe and healthy. I mean, the reason that we're passing laws to make this legal, this plant legal, is for the health of our future generations so that they can move off of things like opioids and prescription pills, right? So the only companies that are really doing it right are the companies doing it full spectrum and that are using cannabis-derived ingredients only. Now, that doesn't mean that just because it's 100% cannabis-derived that it's safe. What I mean by that is it also matters what kind of hardware you're using. So, for instance, this is a Vegas M-Stick. It's a company I represent. Jupiter C-Cell technology is one of the most regarded vape pen makers out there. I think everybody can attest that C-Cells and Jupiter, by association, are the standard for hardware, right?
Yeah, pretty high quality brand.
Right. So Jupiter, on our end, has already released a statement saying they have tested for these types of things, vitamin E specifically, but to make sure that none of these oils and none of these cutting agents are leaching from the hardware. So that's where a lot of this gets tricky, right? It's like, is it the cutting agent? Is it the cutting agent that has leached the lead or metals or whatever it is from inside the vape pens? Is that what is harming you? Because generally speaking, food grade terpenes, botanical terpenes are natural. They're naturally occurring compounds and terpenes in nature, right? And we're inhaling them. And I mean, listen, people have been using sage and herbal remedies and different medicinal purposes for thousands of years, right? You know, who's got a Spanish grandma out there who fucking waves the sage every time there's a bad juju going on in the house? Okay,
let's sage it out.
This comes from somewhere. These are terpenes, right? That they're calming. They're anti-anxiety. That's what sage has a high amount of carophyllene in it, or humulene, depending if you're looking at the alpha or beta carophyllene. Going a little high level on the terps here, but back to what we're really talking about. It's really about the safety of the user. So what we're seeing in the news is vitamin E. They're also lumping in MCT oils and PGs and VGs. So if your oil contains that, which many black market vapes will because they're cheap, they're easy to get. And by the way, I should mention a lot of these states that we're seeing these issues in are not green states, like Wisconsin, for instance. I know Chicago, and they're medical. They're getting to the rec game. They'll be there soon, but more or less, we're finding that a lot of these states are non-recreational states. I think one person.
How many people have passed over this?
I think 6 or
So they're
7
attributing
people.
six or seven people.
I thought I saw 8 last time.
Was
but
it 8?
more,
It's single digits.
Yeah.
So
but
do we
so the
actually
issue-
know if it's in a green state or how many?
I
that
don't
is?
know, but the issue is that they're lumping people that passed away to e-cigarettes as well.
And THC products they're using.
Yeah.
So the media is saying THC and CBD products. Well, okay, yes, but tell the whole story. So that's why a lot of these places and a lot of these sourcers are now dialing it back a little bit. And they're saying, well, actually, what the coroners found was it was actually a vitamin E, an acute vitamin E. I don't know, solid overage in their lungs that they're finding that caused the death. So, but it really leads to the bigger conversation. Are we taking precautionary and preventative measures in our current solvents to avoid running into problems like this? For example, true terpenes or any of these like synthetic natural terpenes that people use. Listen, there's nothing wrong necessarily with it, but in my opinion, if you're going to do it right, you do it right from the start, which is cannabis-derived ingredients only. That's what we have all sought for. Coming from the black market, we're looking for better quality, healthy, regulated, safe quality. You're not going to get that from stuff that is made in a lab, or that's made, or I shouldn't say made in a lab, but you're not going to get it from mixing together a bunch of different things that don't belong together naturally. Okay, when you have a compound like THC, and you integrate the naturally derived terpenes that came from that same exact flower, same exact lot, it was grown in the same soil, they work symbiotically, which causes the entourage effect. So there's a reason for all this, and I think personally we should be looking at testing all the terpene companies that are out there, making sure that they're held responsible and they're in check, because right now it's a Wild West, it's a zoo. You can order terpenes over the internet.
So here's the thing. So like if I want to go, buy some vapes, right? I want to, maybe it's even my grandma, right? She asked me about cannabis all the time,
Everyone's vaping right now.
Everybody's. So like, what do I got to do to make sure that I'm not going to die when I walk into a dispensary in Nevada or any place that's green?
Yeah,
like, what can I do to figure out?
I feel like we're like essentially, when like cigarettes first got that like the general surgeon warning on it. That's essentially where we're at with vaping right now. Like people are like, this is probably not super great for you with the e-vapes. I know this is the Culture and Cannabis show, so I focus around cannabis, but just in that nature, right?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think what we're finding is that, okay, for example, Ionic puts out a certified green, clean program across the board in other states. So Ionic owns VVG in the Vegas M stick. It's their parent company. I also represent that brand, which is why I'm a little bit more knowledgeable about these things. I've been in oil for a few years now. I think I should know a thing or two, right?
Yeah, for those of you that don't know Derek Gumin. It's Gumin. He's been going by Gumin his whole life. So
my dad.
Let's switch it now. Derek Gumin.
Thank you.
Derek, Derek's been in the cannabis industry for 3 years now, 2.5 years now, for a minute.
For a minute, yeah.
For a minute, he's a very knowledgeable guy. He really believes in the products that he sells. We didn't do any background, but a lot of people already. You guys know Derek. You guys have seen Derek around town. So, but he's the aficionado. He's someone that I ask when I have questions about what's going on with the vapes. I had texted him about it. Asking him what's good with this, what's happening. So that's why we want to have him on the podcast today.
Well, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
And I tend to think, look, I've been in the industry now. It'll be 3 years, basically this month. And it's been a long journey. I've represented a number, double digits now at this point, as far as cannabis companies go in Las Vegas. From the marketing side, moving to the sales side, and then just finding a nice symbiosis between the two has really helped me a lot, because I'm able to now get my message across. I'm also able to provide people a product that they can rely on, a safe product they can rely on. And so I feel like I'm doing my due diligence in the cannabis industry. I also work for Dope Magazine, a subsidiary of High Times, which I get to review products every single month. I get to review oils, flowers, you name it. So, I've got a nice little, if you guys haven't seen the Daily Dose on my Instagram,
please check that out.
I try to do that every day. It's a review. It's a daily.
Harmonious CBD got it at 8.7.
8.7. Good full spectrum CBD tincture there. Yeah, if you don't know about it, check that out, guys.
One of our sponsors. That's a little plug.
Little plug there. Derek Las Vegas on Instagram. But no, so, I've been around the product for a long time, and I've been smoking it since I was 15 or so. So, but, when it comes to oil, Ionic Brands out of Washington, when they had a whole big pesticide scare a couple of years ago, maybe even last year, not in our oil, but statewide. So what happened was there was a dispensary out there. I think it was, I don't know, Mike's or Ike's or something like that. It's a big chain. But they started this program where they started randomly selecting all the products that they carry and put it through a testing, a lab test, essentially. And they were picking up pesticides in a number of different cultivators out there and oils, essentially, because those pesticides can carry over. So what happened was tons of companies were fucking losing their business because of it. Well, Ionic was proactive and said, okay, well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to provide a place where you can go and look at all of our lab reports. If you go to ionic.social right now, you can, Nevada's not there, but you can see Oregon, Washington, California lab results for all the oil and all the cultivators that they use. So it's about transparency, and I think every company should be held accountable for what they're putting in these carts. This is, as I mentioned earlier, the Wild West. So in Nevada, where we're constantly seeing all these companies pop up out of nowhere, or they're coming over from other states and just trying to mass produce at a quick rate, forgetting about the quality and the safety of the end user. And it's big money now. We can be frank about it. It's about big money. I'm partially in this game for the money too. I mean, of course I'm a cannabis advocate, and this is what I fight for. This I chose this path in life, coming from a number of different avenues, and I'm here now because I believe in it and I want to be part of it. We're at the forefront of it, and I think we need to do it right, because we'd be doing our future generations a disservice if we just said, fuck it. Like in the 50s and 40s when we just let these advertising agencies run amok, let everybody pretend that this is fucking like safe when it really wasn't. When it really wasn't. So I think we have to hold every company accountable. And so Ionic took the first steps to say, hey, here's everything. Look at it yourself. So I think every company should have publicly viewed lab results so that anyone can go online. There's also a program that they use, and a VVG and the Vegas M-Stick will be using in the future, and all Ionic products as well here in Nevada. It's called Lucid Green. This is a technology that other companies have started to integrate. I know Candescent may be looking at it. I know a number of other companies in California that are looking at this, but we've already launched it in our beta testing region in Washington. We're going to be doing it here, and essentially what you do is you buy your weed, you take your cart out, you take your phone out, you point it at the cart on the little QR code there, and you don't even have to hit anything. It just pops up, pulls up the lab results of that specific strain, everything you need to know. So by giving the consumer the ingredients on everything, because nobody knows what all those test results mean on the back.
No one knows.
We know. Because we're around the plant all the time. But people walking into Planet 13 don't know.
Of course.
Walking into Reef and Thrive don't know. These are tourist-driven locations where, shit, man. I mean, these are first-time users in many cases. So we can't be doing them a disservice by allowing, companies to fly under the radar with some hot dog-flavored water, as I call it, and just slinging their shit at below market, the standard market price. Yeah. And then just take over the market with some hot dog flavored water. It's garbage, and it's not good for anybody.
Yeah, if anyone's been to New York and had a dirty hot dog,
everyone's got one.
Dirty water hot dog, you know how good it is. The first time I ever had one, I was 13. Me and my dad had 2, and I was like,
they may taste good in the beginning, but they're not good for you.
Yeah, they're definitely not good for you. Shout out to my dad. It's his 50th birthday today. I want to give him a quick shout out. But yeah,
Gregory, happy birthday.
Yeah, Greg Lee. So if you were at a cannabis industry event, if there's an older dude following me around, that's him.
Kind of looks like your bodyguard.
Yeah, kind of looks like my bodyguard sometimes. Some people ask me, one time, like 3 people asked me, hey, is that your bodyguard? I'm like, no, that's my dad. But he could be my bodyguard if you want to.
He's a big dude.
Oh, yeah, no, and he's about the action.
He's a big dude.
He's about the action. He's upstate New York, back in the 80s. Yeah. Just throw a hand
Hey,
up.
can I just shout out to Miller High Life? Shout out. Excuse me, just a moment. Let me.
This is the Culture and Cannabis show.
Miller High Life.
Oh God.
There's no better life than a high life. That's good, right? I mean, there's no more. The high life. We live the high life every day now, guys. The cannabis industry. Let's talk about alcohol and cannabis for a second, and the future of consumption in Las Vegas.
Let's hear it, Derek.
I mean, everybody's got their opinion, right?
Well,
That's what some people would say.
I've heard from a couple very respected people in the industry saying that drinks are the future of the cannabis industry.
they are. I would agree.
I don't know if I 110% agree with that. I mean, I don't think you're never going to take a joint out of my hand. But.
Okay, so maybe that's what they meant. I don't think that's the route though, right? I think drinks are the
Supplement.
Well, they are going to be the glue that binds together the social nightlife scene and cannabis. So drinks, when we're able to infuse a cocktail at a bar, so if they're selling cannabis here, cocktails here with alcohol, and a suggested cocktail menu, just suggested, now you have a recipe for a very fine evening. I would go to a place like that. You have all your pairings. You have a pairing list here, your pairing list here with your beautifully made herbaceous cocktails that are terpene driven, right? So I think no, it's not going to be like the end all be all drinks, right? But I don't think like Dixie drinks or Dixie elixirs or Canna punches are the future. No, I mean there's a great niche for those products. There's a great niche.
Oh yeah.
Right? But it's not going to take over joints and flour.
Of course.
It's going to still be a minority portion of the pie. You know, vapes are, 25 to 30% of that pie. Flour's around 50%. Okay, so you're looking at like, 10
pre-roll specifically.
5 to 7% drinks right now,
Yeah.
you know? So, while they're great, I just don't think, whatever people think that it's going to be the future, it's really the, it's not quite the cannabis drinks. It's like nightlife, alcohol, social venue meets cannabis dispensary / coffee shop. Like, I don't know if you guys have been to Amsterdam, but like that's really the experience you'll be getting. Only you'll be able to buy alcohol. Whereas Amsterdam, it's like coffee and Red Bulls. You know, and it's awesome. You just dip in like you would at any other bar. If you're downtown, Main Street, fucking College Town. Woof, which place do I want to dip into? Roll up a little Afghan hash and like then sit down. And then if what we're talking about is alcohol, you have a nice glass of wine, a nice scotch. We go
Even a
with
beer. Even a beer.
Well, we're talking about hash. I think I'm going to go a little smokier, maybe something a little.
Yeah.
Come on, Toe, get your palate on point here.
I'm just saying
Maybe
cannabis.
a little scotch.
Yeah, a little scotchy scotch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just old school. I like a good old, Bud Light and a joint.
Hey, BL, fucking my man. New Yorkers would be proud. My Long Island boys would love you for that.
Yeah. Budweiser's been putting food on my table for the past 27 years. Gotta
God
shout
bless
them.
him.
Yeah, God bless them. Yeah, hopefully, and that's what's so crazy too is that some of these cannabis companies, that's what it's going to turn into. It's going to be the next Budweiser, right? I mean, that's the idea. Like they're going to be, not in the drinks, in the idea of that these massive companies who employ thousands and thousands of people, where this is a commodity, people are buying it all the time. No matter what the economy is, people are drinking alcohol or smoking weed.
That's right. I learned that early in my alcohol days.
Yeah.
I sold wine and liquor for a few years, 3 years or so, and I found that regardless of recession, regardless of the times of despair or devastation, lived through the New York City blackout, through the hurricane, whatever the fuck it was that wiped out half of downtown. Right? We didn't have cell phone service below like 53rd Street. Up to like Wall Street was underwater, and
What year is this?
This was 2012, 13
Okay.
maybe. I was living in Brooklyn at the time, splitting time between there and the Lower East Side with my ex, and I was stuck over there. Actually, I was like, and there was nothing, and people were stocking up on a few things: bottled water,
Of course.
bags of chips and canned non-perishables, and beer. Bud Lights, Coors Lights, stocking up like they were stocking up for a tailgate.
Oh yeah.
And that's what it is. We live in this fucking society where it's like, well, fucking school's out for a couple days, like water, canned food, and beers.
Yeah.
And like, dude, it didn't matter. And same thing with weed, right?
Oh yeah. First place I'm going is dispensary for sure.
Yeah, it's like, oh shit, man, it's gonna be a snowstorm up in Reno for like the next 4 days. Pack up on a half ounce, a few packs of of edibles, and like, dude, you're set.
Yeah.
So it's like, yes, 100%.
Reno's a perfect example for that. Too.
Yeah, so Reno is a drinking and partying town.
Yes.
For all of you guys who have not been to Reno, get yourself to Reno if you like to have a good time. It's a seedy time. It's a Reno as fuck time.
Reno as fuck for sure.
But it's a good time. It's a gritty time, but it's a good time.
Yeah. If anyone hasn't been to Reno, please go check it out. It'd be great if the Reno Tahoe would sponsor this podcast. So go check out Reno.
Northern Nevada is gorgeous. Listen, I want to talk about something really quick. So like, just let's set the stage, right? The financial situation, how money is transported and all this stuff with cannabis, right? Now, it's basically cash, right? I mean,
right? Yeah. There's some people that try to break the rules, but
so what does that mean for you, right? So you've been basically kind of, selling weed here in Vegas, right, for the last 3 years at a very, very high level, right?
Yep.
And so like you can't take you can't send payable invoices, right? What does that create for you? Let's talk about some crazy stories that you've had to do.
I've had to make myself a member of the Second Amendment, users club. So it makes me more. I own a motherfucking gun now. Well, listen. You get into this. You get into this industry, right? Get into this industry. You got to remember, this was black market a few years ago. There's some bad people still out there. Not everyone's bad in our industry. Actually, a lot of people are great people.
Really good human beings.
Really
honestly.
good. The cannabis community couldn't be better. The most inclusive, just happy and like forward-thinking group that I could think of.
Yeah, very nice. Very opening. Not like judgy at all. So yeah.
No, yeah.
Don't get me wrong. There's a couple fuckweads in the industry.
There's some jamokes out there that we gotta keep our distance from. But no, what were we talking about?
We're talking about
my gun. Yeah, my fucking gun.
Cash and cannabis. Somehow we got our
my gun. So don't forget it. I have to mule a lot of this stuff. So yeah, I have a distribution license, and yeah, I got to mule this stuff still. It is what it is. People can't pay in cash. Checks are more commonplace now because you are seeing more publicly traded companies, corporations getting involved, big money.
This is a newer thing, though, right?
Much newer. Listen, there was a lot of people were taking baby steps, and that's taking it lightly. Really, people were very cautious getting into this, especially guys from Wall Street, bankers, doctors. And like people who have their lives invested in something other than just their own business. They've got considerable assets, right? So. Coming into this, you have to know that, you're going to be dealing with, I always tell people, you're dealing with the baddest of the bad drug dealers to the most wealthy people on the planet and everyone in between. This is an open market, an open demographic for every type of person to exceed and build something, right? So in the beginning, JC, it was man. There's guys coming out of the woodworks. You had to deal with a Gambino yourself. Don't even get me started on that story, right?
Oh my God.
That's for another podcast. We'll do a bonus session for that story.
5 years before I can tell that story.
Yeah, we'll do a bonus session on that story. Okay, but my point is, it took a while. So now what we're seeing, yes, it's still a cash business, and the banks are going to catch up. When the banks catch up. And the federal government realizes, I shouldn't even say they realize, when they figure out how to monetize on a federal level what every state is doing and how to control it, how to control safety, how to control the fucking make sure that every lab is testing for the same things. It's federalized. It's no longer by state. It makes it beautiful where it's at now at the beginning stages, where it's on a state level, states decide. But at the end of the day, we want this to be a federal thing because this is going to change the banking game for us. When banks happen, we federalize, or vice versa. You know what I mean? They're going to happen simultaneously. And I always say to people too, when New York happens, we go federal.
Yeah.
California's been there since '96, medical game.
Yeah.
So they're fucking. I mean, they're the most. They want to be their own state. They could do. California can do whatever the fuck they want. They could be their own country.
They do anyway,
if they were their own country, they'd be the 5th most profitable and wealthy country on the planet. If California was a country, so if we wanted to legalize, we would have legalized in the '90s. The political climate is there now. So when New York happens, banks happen, we federalize it all. It's all within a year. And I think we're only a few years away. But when it comes to like the banks and what we're doing now, listen, I mean, small businesses, mom and pops, private owners, they're still dealing with cash. So there's security services. There are a number of distribution companies that you can go through to handle that, right? But you have to watch out for that too.
Yeah.
Not too long ago, there was an employee with a distribution company out here that was robbed at gunpoint, and I won't even mention what company because it doesn't need to be said. But that shit happens. That's why I'm armed. So like, there's a reason why we have to fucking start to take measures because you think I want to be strapped? No. Not, what? No. But I have to keep everything safe. Yeah. It's got to stay safe, and I got to protect myself because if I have a future in this industry, like I'm not going to let anyone else take that from me.
Yeah. And
over money.
Right.
Yeah, that whole conversation was like a low-key flex too. Like, hey, bitch, you want to try?
Well, he put me on the spot. There's some guys out there who know what the hell I'm talking about.
No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, man, it's crazy. Having to do it myself. It's not something that you're excited about doing, but you have to do it. Also, kind of a weird experience, kind of a cool experience at the same time, right? The idea that you get, that you made a sale, and you get to pick up the reward essentially, and then drop it off.
That's funny you say that, and for most people, right? It would be like so exhilarating and shit. I mean, look, a lot of us sold drugs, and for me, it was in college. I literally broke even on it, so I could smoke weed for free, and I sold to like my apartment building. I was the homie, no big deal. It was a plug. But at the end of the day, like we were all there at one time, right? There was a time where when I first moved to Las Vegas, I was working for very high level professional poker players, like guys that were betting on anything you could actually even imagine. I swear to God, these guys are sick. But I would get a call because I used to dabble in a bunch of different things here and there, and I did favors for people, and people would pay me to deliver this and next. I was a hustler when I got here, and all of a sudden I start getting asked to fucking move around not weight drugs, but just rolls, talking stacks of. I mean, there was one time I had to meet a guy in the Wind with $50K in a backpack in the bathroom stall, like next to that red, whatever the fuck, that Chinese restaurant right there. It's like a bathroom right there. You know exactly the fuck I'm talking? It's like all red and shit.
And there's like the glass on the other side where you can see like
outside. Yeah. And then we like do the deal, right? And then like, he gives me poker chips, and I'm like, dude, this ain't cash. He's like, it's just as good. Come on, follow me. Dude, this guy gives me the chips. My first time doing this big of a drop or a pickup, right? And I'm supposed to bring cash back to homeboy.
Little money wash situation.
Yeah. The guy gives me chips, fucking diddles along. I go to the cashier. I'm like, here you go. Here's this, whatever the fuck it was. She goes, do you have a player's card? No? Well, how'd you get those chips? I won them. You couldn't have won those chips without a player's card. I'm like, and I went to go take the chips back, and she pulled them away, and she's like, I'm gonna give you a cashier's receipt until you can prove that you won these. Like, you don't get the money. Like, I was like, I'm like, oh my God. Like, I've never had to do a deal like this, and I didn't know what the fuck. I like called I'm like, dude, they took the chips chips. They give me a receipt. He's like, oh my God. He like calls up his guy. Like, he's like, I'm so sorry. He's a Swedish guy. Doesn't know what the fuck's even happening in the world. Dude, it was absurd. But long story short, we got the money taken care of and it got squared away. But it was so anyway, long story short, I was accustomed. Before I got into this game, I was accustomed to doing shady shit like that for people. So yeah, for me, it wasn't that big of a deal. I mean, it needs to change, but hey, man, we're all in the drug game.
Yeah, man, I feel it. But yeah, so just so you guys know, this is our new podcast studio. What is this called? Wrigley. We're at the Wrigley studio.
That's correct.
We're at the Wrigley studio. We want to give a quick shout out to Rick as we wrap up this podcast. I know it was pretty quick, but we're gonna start doing 30-minute sets over here at Wrigley Studio every Thursday. We're gonna be going live. We're just really happy that we got Derek on the first one. We did one with him previously, but we wanted to redo it because you got to give the credit this guy deserves. If you haven't checked him out, you want to plug anything before we send off?
Yeah, I mean, if you can find me on Instagram at Derek Las Vegas, Derek like the ball player, Derek Jeter. That's the only way to spell it. DERE.
No,
get your double RICKs out of here. Okay, it's Derek Las Vegas on Instagram. That's Canahost.com is my portfolio of work. If you guys ever need any video or photos, give me a shout. If you guys ever need any dank, give me a shout. Vegas M Sticks at VVG Lab, Ionic Social on Instagram for Ionic Brands.
Dope. Well, I'm full-time Tony on Instagram. This is JC Coates. I don't know how it's like JC_Coates, something like that.
There's a bunch of underscores. Just
type it. Just type it. Type it. JC Coates. This is
the
the Culture and Cannabis podcast. We're gonna see you guys next time. Next Thursday. This time we'll do it all over again.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. We're gonna do them every single week, and this is gonna be the dopest podcast created. Ever. It's gonna be pretty dope.
You guys are gonna have to have me on quite often. Then,
yeah. We'll have you guys on. We'll have you on a lot. If you want to check this out, you want to listen to this again, hear Derek talk again. You can check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere you can listen to podcasts. We'll post this up on YouTube as well. Yeah.
Thanks again, guys.
Yeah. Peace out,
Thank you
brother.
both.
Give me a beer.
Thanks,
give me a beer so I can cheers you.
Hey, beers. Here's the clock.